just to make it 28-3.
Something was up.
Arthur Blank loving it. Up by 25. Toss to White. He's in. What a comeback.
All right, welcome to another episode of the 28-3 podcast. We are over 24 hours removed from that wonderful showing against the Lions. Great game. Nick, why don't you go ahead and lead us off, man? Give us your thoughts from the game.
I think it started the exact way we described that it would go.
Yep. Yeah, it
for
did.
the first, probably what? I guess just the first quarter, really. We were down 21-0, fastest in 15 years for a team to go up 21-0.
I think 6.5, 7 minutes.
Yeah, it was about as bad as you could start. And then our normal theme kind of kicked in there, and we decided to become competitive again, and we make a game of it, and then we find a way to lose it. It's been pretty much the way the season's been the whole year. It's a shame to see an interception like that put us in that situation when it's, I think Carr missed an open receiver. AT looked to be coming across. We did have a rusher coming up the middle, making that throw maybe a little tougher than it could have been, but he puts it right in Juwan's hands. So I don't know, missing a bigger play, but still throwing a good ball to our receiving tight end who we just paid a bunch of money, and watch him deflect it straight to the other team and give him a second touchdown pretty much instantly was a tough one. And then you saw, James Hurst with the best punch fumble we've seen this season on a Saints uniform on his own quarterback when we had the ball to go ahead, when, in all honesty, it might have been the best quarter and a half Carr's played all season. 15 straight completions. We went up and down the field. We were perfect in the red zone. All of a sudden, things are going good, and we find a way to screw it up again. I don't know what else you can say. It's happening every game. So it's pretty much who we are. The one thing I want to get you guys feedback on is we've heard all this about the schedule, and Max and I were texting a little bit about it today, and how ridiculously easy it's been. Well, all of a sudden, out of our 12 games, 7 of those teams are 500 or better that we've already played. We are 1-6 against those teams, beating Indianapolis, who's now 7-5 and hasn't lost, I think, since we played them. And we've played 5 teams with a losing record, and we're 4-1 against those teams. We have 2 last-place teams coming in the next 2 weeks. What does that mean? I don't know. It seems like we are about as mid a team you can be. We're beating up on bad teams, and we're losing to decent teams. That's what the season is showing us. We've had opportunities to win almost all the games, and we couldn't do it against the good teams, and we managed to pull it out against the bad teams. So what does that mean for the next few weeks, and where does it put us for the end of the season? I'm still in the camp of you try and win if you can win. That's what I believe sports are about. I'm not a tanking person. I don't like it. Especially with the uncertainty in a draft. I don't think tanking for the hope you pick the right player at number 8 rather than number 13 means a whole lot. So suffering to potentially suffer more is not my thing. So I'm hoping we beat these 2 last place teams and get to 7-7 and make it interesting with the 2 division games at the end of the season that Max has said all year we're going to decide this division. I still think it looks like that could happen. Tampa and Atlanta play this week, and if Tampa plays, it's wide open again. I mean, if Tampa beats Atlanta this week, it's all wide open. So, Corey, you can take it from there. That's my opinion. Don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, I think that if you look at it from a scheduling perspective, yeah, I mean, the division's so bad that you can't say we're out of it yet. As bad as we've played. And even with all the uncertainty because of Atlanta's schedule, because of Tampa's schedule, I mean, we're not even ahead of Tampa right now. We have to remember that.
We're in third.
It's not like...
But we do control Tampa because we play them. So we're going to have to beat Tampa to win the division.
We control our destiny. I don't think we've been in a position to say we've controlled anyone that we've played.
My point is, if you beat them at home,
I know what you mean.
You take the lead on Tampa. So that's in our hands.
Yeah.
Atlanta is not.
From a scheduling perspective, I'll talk about the scheduling perspective before I get into the game because, yeah, there's more teams now that have a winning record, but the trend still remains the same, which goes to the overall direction and leadership of this team from the top. It's that we can't beat the good teams. We can only beat the bad teams. It's that simple. And that's not a recipe for any winning team. That has never been a recipe for our successful organizations. It may have been the case when Sean Payton had his 7 and 9 years. I'd have to go back and look because I think we had some surprise wins against some good teams back in that era. But overall, it becomes clear that we don't have the direction at the coaching level, in my opinion.
We don't have the players either, dude.
Well, you see, that's where I differ. I think we do. I think now, obviously, our defense has shown that its age is a problem. It's either they're fatiguing as the season goes on, but just the team that only beats the bad teams and doesn't beat the good teams. That's
defense
never going to
made it 5 games, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean,
but they're not fatiguing. They have fallen off a cliff. We're third worst in the league in points given up in the last 8 games. That's the majority of the season.
The only time our defense has shown the ability to get stops is once the other team is ahead by 3 or more touchdowns,
right.
And they're not really going to be that aggressive at that point.
Exactly.
But going back to the game, it started off. Now, granted, I saw the first time I checked my phone for the game because I was at a lovely meet Santa brunch with my beautiful twin daughters. So I didn't actually start listening. Started listening to the game and then watching most of, I guess, the second half.
So you missed the bloodbath. That was the first 7
I didn't
minutes
actually
of the game.
see the bloodbath.
Yeah.
It was like a little bit after 12, and I'm like, okay, the game started a little while ago. I'm keeping 2 eyes on 2 kids running around the dining room with Santa and all that stuff. And I checked the phone. I'm like, I hope not much has happened yet. And I look down, 14-0 Lions. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. And then next thing I check, 21. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I tried to check the play-by-play in the midst of everything. I couldn't even keep up like reading all of the plays because the Lions had so many for positive gains. So, the effort, to me, the problems, the biggest problem right now is the defense allowing teams to just run roughshod all over us. Yes, Derek, and this is an ultimate, like, 2 things can be true situation. Yes, Derek Carr was not good, okay, early on. He had the stretch in the middle of the game, so I'll credit him for that. But it's one of those things where he just still can
say that, but
he still continues to be inconsistent as a passer, where it's like he'll have a stretch.
You didn't actually see that. I mean, he started 2 for 7 and then he completed every pass. So
he went 14 to 15 at one point, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
They said 15 straight completions when he went out. I don't know if that's accurate. That's just what the commentator said.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
But the 2 for 7, we had a Kamara drop, which you didn't see. The Jawan drop. Did you see anything else bad? I'm just asking as a second perspective.
No, I didn't. I mean, those were enough, honestly. That Jawan Johnson drop is just, it's get him off the fucking team. Like, that contract is terrible. I'm so mad at mad at myself for changing my stance on Jawan Johnson. I blame Adam for this because Adam bullied me into fucking thinking Jawan was going to be good this year with all of his posts and talking about.
Well, everybody thought he was going to be good.
Well, I mean, look, I'm going to take it back to last season, and we've had this conversation. Nick and I especially have had this conversation, and I have said multiple times, Jawan Johnson is a second tight end. Right now he's parading as a starting tight end. He's not a starting tight end. I never thought he was. He's a converted wide receiver. He wasn't drafted as a wide receiver.
Yeah, you changed your tune the week before the season.
I did, and you know what? Like, I'm so mad at myself for doing that. I had it right, and then I got bullied into changing it, and it is what it is.
Did either of y'all see if he was actually benched, or was there some other reason?
I don't think he was benched. I saw him come back in later on.
Okay, because Foster started getting a lot of plays after that second, which play I'm talking about, where he was just staring at the wall. You're like, what is going on with you?
Yeah, it could have been play calling on Carmichael. It's one of those things we'll never really know. Maybe a good segue into the fact that, like, hey, what do you know? We put Jimmy Graham in the game at the goal line, and he's got 2 catches now for 2 touchdowns.
Dude,
and he put a move on that guy.
He had 2 snaps in the game.
Yeah,
that's amazing. What the fuck?
I don't know what's going on with. I mean, that's one of those things where. You go back to the way this team is run from a personnel standpoint, and there's
He should
so
be in
many
the red
questions.
zone. I
So
think
many questions.
That's obvious.
Every red zone snap,
He's
Jimmy
not
Graham
he's
should
not
get.
an every down player anymore.
No, he's not. But
Down there, to Corey's credit, the route was beautiful.
Yeah.
He put the guy had concrete boots on when Graham made that move on it. He didn't even move. It was
Graham.
perfect.
I mean, Graham set him up.
Yeah, set him up. Perfect route.
Well, what did we say when we signed Graham? We were all like, he's going to have
less
like
than 20 catches, 6 touchdowns.
I said he's going to have like 5 catches and like 4 touchdowns. And, that's pretty much all he's good for at this point, which is fine. Put him in the red zone. Like, he needs to be in on every red zone play at this point.
Yeah.
So
no one's saying he's an every down tight end. It's just, but it's like, and here's the other thing about the offense. It's we were 4 of 4 in the red zone this week.
Right. That's what I was getting ready to ask.
Everything we went through last week and the
1 week later,
before,
we're 4 for 4. What is going on?
But time out. The Lions they're in the top 5 worst red zone defenses in the league.
But
Like,
we
they're bad.
still had to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think we were in a position to say we could do it even against the worst.
It was the resistible force meets the movable object.
Yeah.
AK with 2 touchdowns. Carr actually with a good throw on the Graham route. And the Taysom.
Jameis.
Kamara got in. They took it away from us, and then Taysom got in.
Jameis had the God's plan throw to
Yeah, he did.
That wasn't a touchdown, though, right?
No, that
It set
wasn't.
it, but it set it up.
Well, here's a question. So
That
Nick,
was an awful throw.
Nick, I know where Nick stands on this since he already blamed James Hurst for that fumble. Where do you stand on that, Corey? Whose fault was that when Hurst was after the snap and he knocked the ball out of Carr's hands? I've seen it going both ways on social media, and obviously if you hate Carr, you're going to blame Carr, and if the other way, you're going to go the other way. We got Nick's opinion on it. He said it's on Hurst. What did you think?
I don't think it's on Hurst. I mean, I don't know what you want Hurst to do differently. He came out and ran, and his arm was like out, kind of flailing. But I don't know if they're coached to if you're going to come out in a zone pull type of, the type of block he was executing.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's coached to keep his arms in. I don't know that. What I do.
Look, I don't want to get too far off on a tangent on this. I just want your quick opinion on it. What did you think? Who would you assign blame to on that? Just out of curiosity.
I think I put it on Carr, and
I do too,
It's not
honestly.
because I hate
Nothing to
Carr.
do with- yeah.
I don't get. And here's the thing: a quick aside. Everyone in the Saints world right now, Saints Twitter. It's like you got to be. There's either the Carr haters and it's bloodthirsty hate, or it's the Carr defenders, a lot of which are like Raiders Nation and Derek Carr family bots, because I've actually had one comment on a reply that I made. I'll be critical of Carr where criticism is due, but I think it doesn't serve you as a fan to get so blindly enraged against any one player to where when he actually has something. When he does something good, you can't see it because a lot of people aren't even talking about.
And that's
the
my
good.
thing about this. I think the Carr being down on Carr is why you'd blame him. He did nothing wrong in the play. He had both hands on the ball, fully secured. He's dropping back in a normal.
Well, it
drive.
wasn't secured if it came out.
I mean, if you're not expecting Hurst to jump in front of you on a pull and play, and I'm not blaming Hurst. He's just trying to get to his pulling spot, but. That's what we are this year. This was not an egregious mistake by either player. Hurst is trying to do his job. Carr, both hands coming out from the snap, turning to run the play, has a guy knock the ball out of his hands. You're not trying to secure that ball like you're about to take a hit. You're turning to make the play.
Well,
Hurst comes out with an arm that swings out of nowhere like he was trying to take it out. Now, he did nothing wrong. He's just pulling on the play. Obviously, he's pulling around McCoy. That's the play. We're going to run something on a handoff to the opposite direction. It's clear.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an egregious error by anybody. That is what the 2023 Saints are in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Everything's going great, and we fuck it up with
I'll
something
agree with you
stupid.
to this extent. Yeah, it's not egregious on either party. And it's kind of a situation where
It's a dumb luck thing.
I analogize it to, something that's more attuned to the profession that I'm in with litigation, where every time there's a car wreck, somebody wants to file a lawsuit. There are accidents that are just accidents where there's really no one at fault. Are 90% of them situations where somebody screwed up and someone's at fault, and if someone got injured, they should get money for it? Yeah, of course. But there are situations where it's just dumb luck. It's just wrong place, wrong time. 2 people get screwed up, and no one's really at fault. It's similar to that. The only thing that could have been changed, really, I think it's easier for Carr in that situation to spin out of the snap faster than it is easier for for Hurst to just not run with his arm out. I think as a QB, to an extent, you got to know where your blockers are going to be. Even when you're getting the snap, I think ball closer to the chest could have helped. It was such a split-second thing that any little thing that was done differently would have caused that result not to happen. So if I have to pick, I'm putting it on Carr. But overall, I think it's mostly just terrible luck.
Yeah, and before Nick jumps in, let's go ahead and move on to a different subject. This was literally just to get a quick opinion on it. We weren't trying to take this into a 10-minute segue.
But that's also a microcosm of the Saints season where it's like every little thing that is happening is everyone takes as a huge, much bigger issue. When in reality, it's like,
that's a freak play.
It's a freak play. We can all agree it's a freak play. I'll go ahead and give my 2 cents on the game. First 7 minutes, it was going exactly like I thought it was. I'm like, here comes that 40-point ass whooping that I predicted. Mm-hmm. And look, to their credit, they fought back. Olave looked good, man. Again, 2 weeks in a row, he had 100 yards. He's definitely turned it around over the last couple of weeks. He's looking like the player that everybody thought he would be. Carr had that hot streak in the middle, man. He looked good. And obviously it doesn't change anything from the beginning of the year, but give the man his credit when he played well in that middle stretch. We were coming back.
We were probably going to win that game.
There was a point in the third quarter, and it was, I want to say...
we were steamrolling them like they were steamrolling us.
If the Hurst fumble doesn't happen,
we win that game. They could not stop us with Carr in there.
It was funny. The announcers were like...
We figured something out.
The announcers go, did these two offenses switch jerseys?
That's exactly what
and
happened.
That's exactly what it looked like happened. So there was a moment where I looked at Alex and I said, we're absolutely winning this game.
When we got that ball back before that fumble, I agree with Corey. That was going to be a drive straight down the field.
Yeah.
They could not stop anything we were doing. Olave was wide open, running free. He played great again.
Yeah, he did.
He could have made a big play on the Taysom throw, which was a bad throw, but that's not his fault at all.
Yeah.
He could have made a play on that. Otherwise, he was running free, and Carr was hitting him, and they had it going again, just like they did last week before Olave went out. Something's clicked there, it seems like.
Yeah, definitely.
I believe we win that game if we have Carr and we score there. They're going to maybe go score.
I think
on
if
us.
the fumble doesn't happen, I think we win the game.
I
but
agree.
of course, some freak play happens. The week before is the Taysom fumble in the red zone. So
I think it's another game we lost with more yards, more time of possession, but we did lose the turnover battle this time by 2, and it was a 1-score game. The turnovers is what matters. We can't turn it over.
And I think too, like I said, 2 things can be true. Where if you want to, even if you want to put the turnovers on Carr, there's another side of this equation that was horrific, and it was our defense. And this gets back into why our hashtag Fire Dennis Allen is ringing more loudly than ever. Why our T-shirt sales are up. If you haven't gotten our shirt, ours is the real one. There's a lot of bots out there for all you listeners, by the way.
The OG one. This one was created a month ago before the masses were really in on it. So
yeah, we also got hoodies now for when it gets cold. But my point is, early in the season, we all were confident in saying, okay, if our offense can get 20, I don't even think we said 28. I think we were saying like 24 points a game.
Yeah.
We weren't even putting 4 touchdowns as a requirement on our offense. We were saying if we do that, we're going to be by far a playoff team. We're going to be really, really good. We're finding ways now, last week notwithstanding, or at least looking at the Lions game, it's showing that we have the ability to move the ball. We scored 28 points, even a touchdown with Jameis in there, and it just reeks to me that, okay, if your head coach, the DA defenders were, weeks and months back saying, well, you got to fire Pete. You can't fire DA. Well, that's flipped, okay? I don't think it should have ever been in position to flip, but when your calling card as a head coach is supposed to be your defense, and that is the thing that is not complementing something that is looking to be improving, you got problems. The defense is the reason we were
and we've been
in
bringing
the
that
position
up for
we were in
over a month now.
Yeah.
The defensive line looks like toast.
And
the whole thing looks like a mistake. The defensive tackles aren't holding up.
Yeah.
Cam is too old. We lost Turner, hoping maybe he made some sort of jump this year. Granderson is slowed down.
Roach is injured now. He's probably out.
And he may have been our best tackle so far this year, at least against the run. They're getting run over.
So here's the thing. I think that, you look at last week, if you look at the people that want to bash Carr, I don't have any issue with people going after Carr. Just because, if a fan has an opinion, a fan has an opinion. Did they subject themselves to get roasted for a horrible take? Of course. But, Carr has showed enough bad play to where he deserves some
Carr has not been consistent. There's
he hasn't been
no
consistent.
doubt about that.
But here's my requirement, though, on people that are doing that. If you're going to do that, you have to also acknowledge how terrible and inconsistent our defense has been over this stretch as well. Because they're just as much to blame for our losses.
They're more to blame, in all honesty, if you're being fair about it. You said 24 points. We all thought 24 points wins this game. The last 8 weeks, we're averaging, I think, over 24 points. The last 8 weeks, what did they say on the broadcast? We're the third in yardage in the league over the last 8 weeks.
Yeah, but where are we in points?
No. It's higher than you think. We're in the
No,
mid-20s.
I know, but
And I'm saying it's been inconsistent. It's been terrible in the red zone, on and off. I agree 100%. I'm just saying the defense is getting destroyed.
Yeah.
We were talking about games. We didn't give up 20 for how many in a row? What was it, Max? 20?
It was a lot, yeah.
Like 11, 12 games.
And now we're giving up 30 a game regularly?
Maybe more than that, yeah.
I mean, you're not winning games giving up 30 with Derek Carr. We never thought that was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
He's not scoring 35.
We even said that last year. When we had Andy Dalton, we're just before we even said, Carr's a guy that we can get. We were just like, Dalton's not cutting it because he doesn't look like someone who can just go get the ball downfield when you need to. He doesn't have to do much, but he needs to do more than what he's doing. Well, if we could just get a QB who could do a little bit more than what Andy's doing, then we'll be in great shape. And so we thought that's what we had with Derek. But there's something.
The other thing we need to say about that, this is the third game he hasn't finished. This was a supposed Iron Man. He's taken a hit to the chest three times.
Two concussions in a month.
Right.
Yeah.
And
After never having had one before.
I think it's a mix there of the O-line not being in sync. I mean, Pete went down in this game, which didn't help matters. But also, the O-line was horrible when he was getting hit early in the season.
Well, McCoy had 2 false starts in like 3 plays.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on?
It's just
so real quick, Corey, to what we're talking about, the last 6 games. Saints 24, 38, 24, 19, 15, 28.
Yeah.
That's about 23, 24 points a game right there.
Yeah, if you would have polled us earlier in the year or before the season,
We'd have taken
we
that
would
all
have said, okay, so you probably definitely lose, only scoring 15. 19 could be a push because our defense can hold people to less than that. But you would have definitely said all those other ones are wins.
Right.
So
here's the status at Max last night. Games the Saints have 21 or under points this season. How many?
Out of 12,
It's about what you're going to think it's going to be.
5.
7.
Okay. I thought it was one of those tricks, but
Wait. Was that in reverse?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know.
My point is, Pat Mahomes, exact same number.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but if Pat Mahomes had our skill position talent, it'd be a whole different
Chiefs,
number.
maybe so, but that's not what we're talking about.
The Chiefs this year also have a top 3 defense.
They do.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying the difference is. We thought that's what we had. We don't have that.
Or at least top 5, yeah.
We thought this was going to be score 22, 24. It's almost a shoe-in. This defense is going to keep most teams around 20 points or under. They have not done it. Yeah. And, the personnel moves, Loomis is a big part of this. We drafted defensive tackle. We let all of our tackles go. We drafted tackle. The only person we kept was Roach. That has been a catastrophe. Mm-hmm. It's not worked. Whether it's the
we signed 2 to replace the 2,
right?
And we all thought they were upgrades. We all did,
and we were all wrong. Is
yeah.
what I'm saying. It is not. The run defense is worse than it's been in Dennis Allen's era. It's so far worse.
Yeah.
Cam finally looks old, right? Lewis Payton, we didn't bring in another pass rusher. We talked about that early in the season. We worry about pass rush.
Or we're trying to be cute and stash them on the practice squad instead of just signing them and then
Correct.
they go away.
Correct.
I mean, again, that guy hasn't done anything all year.
That's too late.
But
even we all talked about it. This was trade deadline to save it or nothing on the pass rush. We did nothing because we don't have a
There were 32 teams that didn't sign Jason Pierre-Paul this entire season until the Saints put him on the practice squad.
And he won't do anything in my
No offense, he ain't that guy.
Well, I'm saying even our efforts to bring him in were gone by the wayside. You know, it was a patch job effort to bring a guy in, like Nick said it. We didn't do a trade deadline move. We did the patch job thing of signing a guy to the practice squad. But it's personnel, but I think it also, you know, it's the consistency factor. I know that's like my favorite word on this podcast besides like, I don't know, there's a bunch of other ones. But anyway, like the lack of consistency shows you the lack of effective coaching, in my opinion. And one thing, there's a statement made in a post-game presser by Colin Saunders, which to me was, if he's just telling it how it is,
it's an indictment on the coaching.
It was kind of alarming. Like he said, you know, maybe we need a pre-plan better, you know, because we're picking stuff up only after the game happens.
The players are telling,
and I'm like, what the? Are you serious?
The players are telling us everything every week.
You're in week 12,
yeah,
and you haven't even scouted the opponent enough to where they're doing. I mean, now look, scripted drives on a first drive are a thing. A lot of teams have success, like the Lions with a guy like Ben Johnson. They're probably going to get theirs on the first drive. Okay, but the next two, to say that they're doing things that we didn't quote pre-plan for.
Well, it helps when you're at the 14-yard line.
I mean,
but they didn't get through their first 20 plays on those 3 touchdowns.
Well, they had they did. Two of their touchdowns came from within the the 30 and
that's what I mean. Yeah,
you know, but still, it's just for him to even be able to make that statement. It's like.
But look, the thing is, he's not even alone in that. Like you heard Kamara, you know, 2 or 3 weeks ago when he said, we are a team without an identity. Yeah. And then Dennis Allen, of course, took exception to it the next day in his press conference.
Well, we're explosive.
Well, we have an identity. It's like, no, you fucking don't. He goes, we're a team that runs the ball. You don't run the fucking ball. Yeah. We average like 3 yards a carry. You don't run the ball. The players are telling, they're literally, it's like they're being held hostage, and they're making the comments to the press every week. You
There's
just
so many
look at it.
telltale signs of just a badly run organization. Not even counting the Michael Thomas Twitter festival that happened on Sunday, which was damn fun. People talk about, oh, Jameis Winston is so fun. We want to just see. No. What was fun was watching MT tweet the things that everybody wishes the players were saying, cryptic or not. But no, I mean, when the coaches, when
I want to get on that because Max and I were talking about him a little bit. Because just sidebar real quick.
Yeah, I mean,
it's time for him to go.
I mean,
he hadn't eclipsed 500 yards in 4 years. We're beating a dead horse.
Well, here's the thing.
Well, here's a question for you: who's our number 1 receiver?
Well, now it's Olave.
Who's it been the whole season?
Yeah.
Olave. Yeah. Like I told you all in training
But
camp.
he was not taking coverage, so you weren't listening to the topic.
Olave is making contested catches now. Like he's the number 1 receiver.
Yeah,
and hasn't been close.
I think there was only one.
He definitely is now with Thomas not playing, but the coverages were going to Thomas the first half of the season. They were.
Yeah.
And we talked about it.
Thomas was being doubled and bracketed.
Yeah, he was getting
He
bracketed.
was not being doubled.
Olave was not, and what was he doing?
Several
he was 100%.
Several screenshots of him being doubled and bracketed.
He is not being doubled every play. There's no way.
The game.
Thomas runs as fast as you do.
I don't know about every play.
They're sitting a linebacker in.
Time out. This debate doesn't even matter because Thomas isn't on the team next year, more than likely, and Olave is the number 1 receiver.
Well, here's another component to that is that with the quarterback situation we have, with the offensive coordinator situation we have, I don't even know what good it does to have a Michael Thomas at this point. I mean, we're not. Put it actually not the OC comment, the quarterback comment. I mean, Carr is not willing. He's not a quarterback that's just pulling the trigger unless he's eyeing the guy down. We benefited this past game from the fact that Olave was getting wide open, and he leads the league in separation. So that makes it...
No, he does not. That's not.
I thought we talked about he led the league in separation.
No, he was very low. We were surprised by how low he was.
No, now he's got...
He was under 3 yards, and it was like middle tier. We talked about it.
Yeah, but that was like week 4. This is...
The last episode, we talked about how he's... Or maybe it's over the past few weeks he's leading.
Maybe in the past few weeks.
But either way...
I saw the stat you're talking about. He's at the top of the league in it. I know.
Most of Carr's downfield passes are when guys are clearly wide open. Yeah. Except for the A.T. Perry thing or
for
whatever.
All the Taysom people, he couldn't get it to the wide open Olave.
No, I mean I don't think Taysom is your starter.
Neither could Jameis.
Jameis couldn't hit the side of a ball.
Well, actually, that brings up a good.
Jameis could have gotten it. He chose to try to loft it. You could tell he took some.
Dude,
off
the route was wide open, and Jameis threw it 5 yards.
Jameis threw nothing but bad passes when he got into the game.
Jameis
yesterday.
looked wildly inaccurate.
So hold on, let's go ahead and segue to the Jameis conversation because there's a very good possibility that Jameis is your starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah.
Because Carr's second concussion in 1 month. They've been a lot safer with the concussion protocols across the league this year. I was actually shocked that Olave was cleared in time for the game.
Carr also probably had some ribs smashed on that.
Well, he would play through that. I mean, he's been playing through injuries, but the concussion, he's probably not passing protocol this week. So I think this is the week all of the Jameis supporters, and I'm going to go ahead and reference something I said in the preview episode back in August. I said it's a huge fucking mistake to keep Jameis on the roster because the second Carr strings a couple of bad games together or gets injured, these guys are going to come out of the fucking woodwork and just be going on and on and on about how Jameis needs a chance, Jameis is this, Jameis is that. Lo and behold, it's exactly what happened because Carr has been mediocre as fuck for the majority of the year. The Jameis hive has been out in full effect for the majority of the year. Now we're going to get to see him. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, people are going to have to, their eyes are going to get opened. If you hate Carr, you're going to have to admit that he's a better fucking quarterback than Jameis after this week. Because Jameis is terrible. I say this as his number one fan when he was at Florida State. Now, that was more of an allegiance to Florida State. But Jameis is terrible. Like, what are we in, year 9 at this point almost?
He was 2015,
15, right?
2015. So, is this 8 or 9?
Yeah, either way.
Year 8.
He's been around long enough to where we know what he is. And for anyone who's expecting him to, all of a sudden flip a switch and turn into Drew Brees, it's not going to happen.
Let's just be honest. When he came in, these were very easy quarterback plays that he missed. The only one that was a tough throw was the one to Kamara. He had to jam it in there, give him a pass on that.
Yeah.
The other 2 throws on that drive to go in the game were misses by 5 yards. Olave wide open, threw it, 3? He barely got his fingertips on it behind him when he jumped back.
He lasered it past him. It was like the dude's wide open. He's sitting in the zone.
Sitting there, where he should be.
Just pitch and catch it.
Perfect route by
Olave. Let me tell you who I blame for this. Pete Carmichael.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this game plan? Like, we were pounding them on that drive. That last drive where we had the ball. We were pounding them for the first 20, 30 yards.
You. But how do you blame Carmichael when the guy's wide open and it's a 10-yard throw? A quarterback has to be able to complete that.
No, stick with Taysom at that point. Run what's working.
Yeah.
Taysom can make those throws.
Mm-mm.
Well, I don't trust Taysom as a passer. I think it's more.
You trust Jameis?
No,
I don't trust either of them. That's why I think
put the guy who's hot in there, man.
It's either a RPO with Taysom or it's a run.
I'm just saying, go back and look at that drive. We were moving the ball. We were running the ball.
Oh yeah.
But we had just run Taysom, and it was 1 yard gain. So we're 2nd and 9. Olave's wide open.
We did that stupid ass reverse. That's when we to Lynn Bowden. And that's when it went
that was a terrible call.
It was 2nd and 1, I think, and then it went to 3rd and 11 because of that loss.
That's the completion though where it got tipped was after that play. Then
That's right.
So that one we got away with on sheer luck.
That was a straight up. That was an interception to that the defensive back. If you look at it, that pass Jameis threw.
I'm trying to remember
the tip ball.
The tip ball.
Oh,
that was headed straight towards number 20. I think he was number 23. I could be wrong.
That was a.
It looked like number 23 was the intended target.
No
like
question.
he was the wide receiver running the route.
It was a vintage,
Olave was like, "Oh, what?"
God's plan.
It was the Jameis Winston experience in one single play.
Now, do you all think there's any credence to those who are saying, "Well, he didn't have the whole week taking number 1 reps"?
No, man.
Those
Jesus.
are easy throws. If they weren't that wide open, okay, maybe. But those are the most elementary NFL throws.
Every NFL quarterback can make that throw.
And that's the biggest red flag to me was the miss to Olave when he settled in the zone, because it's like almost reminded me of Jameis's instinct to throw the fastball in any situation than just play pitch and catch with the receiver when he's that wide open. Because he tried to throw the fastball, and when you do that, the chances of it being errant are higher, and it was errant.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen.
It's like just throw it in there.
I am perfectly fine with everyone, criticizing Carr for his shortcomings. There's been many. The red zone, especially. If he was just halfway decent in the red zone this year, we're a winning team right now. There's no question about it.
Yeah, but he's not, and he never has been. So
True.
We're expecting something.
That does not support a narrative of Jameis Winston or Taysom as a starting quarterback. He is still the best chance to win if you're trying to win. If you're not trying to win, and whatever we're trying to do.
Put Hainer in if you're not trying to win.
Right, exactly. So,
that goes to my question from 2 episodes ago. It's like, what are we trying to do as a team?
Well,
win.
If we're trying to win, it's not.
Yeah,
Hainer.
but that question was silly when you phrased it, because this team is clearly only trying to win, which they should be doing.
Yeah.
because they're trying to save their jobs.
Right.
It's more of a question / reminder to those who have these wild takes of like, we need when Carr's healthy, like we need a bench Carr and just put Jameis in there. Carr's too inconsistent. It's like, well, if you're trying to win, then
Carr gives you the best chance.
And most of those arguments are followed with what, Corey? Because it's more fun.
Yeah, well,
I get it. It is fun to watch.
No, there are people who believe with all their hearts. You know, the tweets are crazy. Like they're not crazy tweets, but they're crazy like everywhere. You know, get Derek Carr off my team, get him out of my face, all that stuff. And look, I'm not knocking people for having that tweet. I just think it's not an either or situation. Our entire QB room is not good right now.
Right.
There are no good options.
Jameis is not the solution.
The best option, and I'll go back to it, is, buckle down and run the damn Service Academy offense and put Taysom in there and just see what you can get with 3 yards in a cloud of dust every time.
We did that last year. It didn't work.
Because I don't know, you can't convince me that that's a lesser option.
They've never truly committed to that, though. Yeah. I honestly, at this point, I would actually like to see that.
Last year they did, though.
Not really. I mean, I'm talking like giving Taysom like a full.
Oh, he can't take it.
No, he can't. He would be injured in the second game.
It would be a 2 to 3 game plan because that's how long he would last. Yeah, he's
Corey,
not,
can you take 25 hits a game?
Of course I can.
You're talking about
I've never tried it, but
Jasmine football.
Hall of Fame fullback here, man. Come on.
I could take 45 hits a game when I was 18 years old, but
I just think this week's going to be a reckoning, like where people are truly going to see what the Jameis experience looks like. So,
look,
we'll talk about that next episode.
And to reframe it,
we'll dive into that.
I hope it goes well. I do want him to succeed. I want to see him do well. I want to see the team do well because what's fun to me is winning. What's fun to me is winning, not.
Me too.
Not this like, oh, did you see that crazy pass? Can't believe he threw that. No,
can't believe it. We caught it when it was a sure interception.
Whether it's Jameis or Derek or Taysom, what's fun is winning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what though? Let's we'll dive into the Jameis experience a little bit more later in the week on the preview episode. Let's go ahead and do a recap of the predictions from last week. So, trying to go through Corey's handwriting here.
Do you want me to run through it?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and take a look at that? I know that we all predicted a Saints loss, so we're all even there.
We all picked loss.
I would say, but we performed better than what we thought we were going to see. Would you agree?
Yeah. Absolutely. They actually played with effort.
Yeah, we didn't.
There was no effort in the fourth quarter in Atlanta. There was effort after the first quarter this week.
The team showed fight. The team showed fight. The players are playing for each other no matter what happens, and you love to see that at a minimum. Again, it's opinion. We don't know. I don't think that fight is for their coaches, but that's just my opinion.
Well, they're saying it every week. It's for the locker room.
Yeah.
But let's get into the...
Also, we'll go with Nick. Nick was the closest in terms of point margin. He had Detroit. Oh, no, I'll take that back. Nick and I were both tied in point margin. Nick had 31 Lions, 20 to the Saints. Nick's defensive MVP was DeMario. I don't know. I don't know who the defensive MVP
I don't either,
really was.
To be honest.
There may not have been one, but
I don't think we can definitively pick one.
We forced no turnovers, so that's tough to put it on. DeMario, what did he finish with?
I think we called that one a
4
wash.
tackles. So the defensive MVP, probably a Debo again.
I was about to say it might be a Debo.
8 tackles, 6 solo, 1 pass defense.
Because the wide
Nephi
receivers
Sewell had 8 tackles and 2 tackles for loss, but he also got worked a few times.
Yeah,
that was pretty bad.
I think he did pretty well, though.
We did not bring this up, but let me bring up that Howden was the worst play on the field by so far.
Excuse me, Jawan Johnson would like to have a word with you.
It could be a tie. Howden was lost.
He was getting killed by Laporta.
He was getting
lost.
Yeah.
And just the tackling, he missed 3 just clear, straightforward tackles he missed.
He had a welcome to the NFL day.
It was a really, and I've been supporting him, and I told Max, I said,
we all have.
I feel bad that I thought I saw something because that was one of the worst performances I've seen.
The only rookies that don't have bad days like that throughout the course of their rookie years are the rookies of the year. And, and even they have bad weeks. So, he was due, and against the high-powered offense, it kind of made sense. But, I think I'd have to go with the Debo.
It's a tough one. There's no definitive one.
The secondary did wake up in the second half until the
did.
last drive, and they played fairly well like they have all season.
I just don't think there's anyone that stands out as a clear-cut defensive MVP.
I agree.
So let's go.
Let's call that a
Nick's
wash.
offensive MVP was Taysom. He said Taysom's going to have over 100 total yards and a TD.
He did have the TD. He got
close to 100.
Yeah, he was. If he'd have completed that pass, he'd have had it.
Yeah, he would have been in at that
but-
point.
I know he had over 50 rushing, right?
Yeah, he had 59 rushing, and he caught a long ball. How long was that? Like 20 yards?
Yeah, it was a good
Close.
2 for 15. So 2 for 15, but he had an 18-yarder. So, yeah, that was the long one where he jumped up.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
It was a good catch. So 77 yards and a touchdown.
I think
Close.
Kamara's the MVP.
Yeah.
Offense.
Kamara
played his ass off.
Yeah,
in that game.
6 for 58, and then he had,
He had,
again...
he had over 100 total.
Yeah.
he had
yards.
51 rushing, 3.5
Did I pick him or Taysom?
So that's a good segue, Max. You picked the Lions to win 40-13, and it was looking like that for a good while. But you picked Taysom as your offensive MVP, and then your defensive MVP was Jameis Gibbs. And
He didn't do as much as Max thought he would. He had that one long run. That was about it.
he did not. He didn't have the 175 total yards.
The Lions kind of put
He
the
had
brakes on the offense after the first quarter.
You had Gibbs with 2 TDs.
He had a 36-yard run, but only 24 yards on 7 more carries, and then he only had 1 catch for -6. Not a great game. We held him in check.
Yeah.
That TD got vultured away from him. That should have been his TD. He got tackled on the
By
wall.
Singletary.
Yeah, Singletary, sure.
It's a shout out to me from last episode for
There we
botching
go.
Montgomery's name. All right, my score was Detroit 28, Saints 17. So Nick and I both had the 11-point margins of victory. Nick's probably more accurate with the higher point total. I mean, not probably. You are the higher point total. My offensive MVP was Alvin Kamara.
More importantly, where do we stand on the season?
I'm still 2 back.
There you go.
Yeah. But I'm going to get we don't have an MVP tracker, I don't think, but I nailed both in this game because I had Kamara for offense and Adebo for defense.
Well, Adebo's questionable.
Not as definitive on Adebo, but I think Kamara.
We'll give you Kamara. And I think I remember saying when I picked
I'll be
Taysom,
honest
I
with you,
also said I think Kamara
It's a
might
close
go.
second.
Yeah.
That's the
I said
best
1A1B.
offensive game we've
think
had
this is
because
the point-
Taysom and Kamara were the best 2 players
Yeah.
on the field
By far.
for us.
I think this might be that point where we say no points for second place, Max.
Although Olave's in the conversation for 5 for 119. I mean, that's in the
Yeah.
conversation.
Olave in the last 2 weeks has
Yeah.
been fantastic.
That's more yards than Kamara and Taysom. He did not score, so I get it.
Yeah, you
Kamara
could
got the
actually-
2 short ones.
Yeah.
Honestly, Olave since the second half when Jameis came in against Minnesota has been lights out basically from that point
you know
on.
what? If
Olave
we're-
and Carr.
If we're using the value, this comes up at the end of every NFL season, the word valuable, not best. I think Olave was more valuable than Kamara. I think he allowed us to get the chunk plays when we needed to move the ball.
Kamara did have a couple good in the pass game. The run game was really rough again, in my opinion. He missed a few well-blocked plays on the outside. I think we have to get away from those plays and get that ball to him in the pass game rather than trying to run outside with them. Those plays are just not working.
What are you talking about? He broke that official's leg, man, on that outside sweep.
1 yard, the 1 yarder. That guy's leg. It's not broken.
I know.
It's dislocated.
Dislocated.
It's crazy, and the guy's
No
fine.
surgery,
No
yeah.
surgery.
You could hear that guy yelling too. Ugh,
Dude, it was brutal. I saw a gif of it where it's just like
It was
it's just
nasty.
over and over. It's wild.
But real quick on the Olave thing, we had Olave go out early last week and Carr go out this week. You take those 3 quarters-ish out of that equation, they have gone bananas the last 2 weeks. Like 230
Well,
yards.
what you really need to is go back to the fourth quarter of the Minnesota game and factor that in because he had nothing in the first
Something
half.
finally clicked with those two. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden,
I think something clicked with Olave because all of a sudden he was doing it with Jameis too in that Minnesota game. Like the light bulb went on. I don't know. Like he's finally
it
figuring
took
it
way
out.
too long this season, but right now that is working, and we need to lean the shit into that the rest of the way.
My problem is we continue to say in blank quarter of blank game it worked, or for that amount of time it worked. We have not yet said the whole game he did
Well, they keep getting hurt.
so good.
Yeah, I
they
mean,
both getting hurt.
he's frail.
No, it's
So is Carr apparently. All of a sudden, I don't know.
we need to
Well, Carr's 33, 34, 35 now, so
32.
it's another game too little too late.
yeah. But well, with that, we'll go ahead and wrap this episode up. Be sure to check us out on Thursday for the season or for the preview episode for the Panthers. It should be an exciting game. I can't wait to see Corey's prediction for this
They're
one.
going to tee it up in front of 50 whole people at the Dome.
It's gonna be more than that. It's gonna be Panthers fans.
The
I'm sure.
Carolina fans aren't coming.
They're not coming. That's what I'm saying. There won't be a
Yeah.
resale market.
Might be you and Max there. That's it.
I'm not going. I sold my tickets. I needed this month off.
Well, you need to go to wear our shirt because that other guy got all the publicity.
I'll be there for the Falcons game in full full outfit, and it's gonna be wonderful, especially if it gets flexed, because I got something for the Sunday Night Football audience. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But with that, we're out. We'll catch you guys on Thursday for the next episode.
Boom.
What a comeback!